Buddhism, the whole Buddhist aspect is about the practicality for me. I'm not about ritual and ceremony, which I'm always criticised for. I don't really care what I look like and what I don't look like, and which I'm also criticised for. I go along with whatever makes me more approachable to the community that I'm in at the time. So that's where I'm atypical. Well, I'm atypical all the way. You mentioned about boxes. I have the greatest respect for you, but you will never fit me in a box, and neither will anyone else.
I'm kidding that. But would you be so kind as to give me a few pieces of or a couple of the tools, share what some of those tools, insights, or pieces are. And by the way, those of you in the chat room, you're welcome to chat SUJATO a question, and I'm sure he'll answer it.
Now, I will answer it if you tell me what it is, because I don't know how to do anything with you. Saw the whole palaver I had trying to lose the phone call. I don't know how to do anything with this other than look at people and talk to them.
It's all right. I'll give you the questions as they come in.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. If I would have known this was going to be this much fun, I'd had you here years ago. No. Okay.
This is not your typical interview, is it?
Thank the Lord. We're not religious here.
I'm so pleased about that, because it's not often I get a chance these days to be laughing at what is 3 o'clock in the afternoon for me here with folks, and to be honest with you, a lot of the work I've been doing is not conducive to being laughing anyway. So yeah. So
anyhow, I was back to give me a couple tools. What do you talk about to folks? I mean, I know tools, right. Stay fun tools.
Yeah. So I concentrate very much on the very, very basics of Buddhism, because Buddhism's so huge. The word Buddhism is so huge, covers everything from the sublime to the ridiculous. It's so because it's so huge, I very much concentrate on Four Noble Truths, Eightfold Path. Yeah. And that's really when I talk about the tools, and also with the five basic precepts. Oh, because okay, so let's start off with the 5 basic precepts and see where we go from there. So I'll forget one. I always forget one. I've known them forever, and I'll forget one. So I'll gear you up for that. And I know them. And I never remember
keep score, but okay.
And I never remember the order, so it's just the way it is. So the first one is that you will endeavour to abstain from taking life, from killing. Now, yeah, that one you take that as far as you want. Some people go to extremes where they're like so worried about stepping on an ant they get run over by a bus. That's a bit foolish, but so that's the first one.
Okay,
that's one in my book. So then we've got no harsh speech, or no false speech. That can kind of be. It can be interpreted in a lot of ways, but it obviously covers things like not telling the truth, but it also, intentionally, intentionally causing harm with your speech to someone else.
Okay.
And where are we then?
We're on 3.
Yeah. Then we've got not taken what's not taken what's not given, not stealing.
Oh, okay.
Not taken what's not freely given. And then we've got an interesting one, which most people will translate as to endeavour to abstain from sexual misconduct. And that becomes an issue for some people, because some people seem to think it's the same as any other teaching it can be twisted to suit an agenda. But basically, what that means is that it basically means that your sexual conduct is not causing any harm to either yourself or anyone else. We could talk about that one for a long time. What it doesn't cover is any kind of any kind of consenting practice between two adults in their own home. No one can argue that that is covered in there at all. And that is used sometimes in that context. So that's really, we could talk about that. I could do an hour on just on that one, on answering questions. So and the fifth one is the big one for me, which is to endeavour to abstain from the use of intoxicants. And that's been quite a beneficial one for me. Now, there are debates.
Let me ask you a question about that? Because I personally have not had an issue with substances, but I've certainly been involved with people who it's wrecked their lives. So why do you think some people have it, that proclivity, and some don't? And then how do you talk to people? Like you said, there's people you're trying to talk to who may still be using. I mean, what do you say to them? Do you talk to them about these 5 tools? I mean, how do you be with them?
Among other things, yeah, among other things. Everyone has to come to it from in their own time and from their own angle. I don't try and sell anything to anyone, whether I certainly don't try to sell it to anyone monetarily, but I don't try and sell anything, figuratively speaking, either. And I've done this for a long time. I just put something in front of you and say, take a look at this if you like. I might actually put something in front of you. I might actually put a book in front of you. I'm pretty big on there having to be some kind of, you have to put some effort in. I'm not gonna hold your hand and walk you through this. You have to put some effort in, because it doesn't work if you don't. I know this from my own experience. It doesn't work if you don't. You have to put some work in. It's a case. The problem is that a lot of folks from, again, what I call disadvantaged communities, they don't have access to this information. Now, physically they do, because nearly everyone these days, certainly in the West, has access to the internet. So we could look up 4 Noble Truths, 8-fold Paths, 5 Precepts. We can look all that up. So I don't mean it like that, but I mean they don't have access to, if they don't even know anything about that, you can't search it. And the establishment in the West, and I'm going to try and be diplomatic, but diplomacy is not my strong point. Okay, it's not my strong point.
Let it out.
What tends to happen in the West is access tends to be either very cultural, and I don't have an issue with that, because people are coming from these communities to the West, and it's not only the US. That's why I use the term the West. It's either very cultural, or, well, I'm going to have to say it straight, or it's very white upper middle class. And a lot of people think I have an issue with white upper middle class folks, and I have no issue with them at all. I just have an issue when some folks are gate kept from something that should be available to all.
Yes, I understand.
So I don't have any issue. In fact, when I think about it, it might be quite nice for me to be white upper middle class one day. I don't know, but it's certainly it's not any kind of insult. It's just that's the way it is, and so really it's to enable these folks to know that these tools are there, but they have to use them. So when we go and speak at various places, I do a regular Thursday at probably the biggest day shelter in the middle of Boston. When I go and speak at these places, it's about what people want, and some people just want to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's what they want, then I'll give them that. Because down the line, maybe they'll pick them tools up. But some people just want to be heard. Some people they literally just are glad that someone's giving them their time, and that's good enough. That's okay. That's okay, because that makes a difference. The traditional, certainly the traditional Theravada way, I don't have an issue with. It's not for me. I can do it. I can play that game, but it's a game. I can play that. I can act in that role. I'm good at it. I'm really good at it, actually. But it is a role. What I'm doing now, this is my passion. What I'm doing now, and this is my last. I'm kind of beat up. I've lost an eye. Both my legs don't work properly. It looks like I've got two good eyes, but I haven't. I've got less than one good eye. Both my legs don't work too well. And I guess I'm not that old, but I haven't really looked after myself. I'll be 60 this year, so I guess in the scheme of things, but I feel like I'm about 80. This project is kind of like my last hurrah before I either retire or retire permanently.
Oh my God.
So I'm kind of putting everything into this. I've done the whole traditional. And it has a place, but and this is certainly not for everyone. We go out on the street into basically what is an open air drug market, and there are people using IV intravenous drugs on the street, and they're dying every day, every day, and sitting in a nice temple with beautiful fresh flowers and chanting and meditating on your soft cushions is fine. That's okay. But it's not for me. And maybe I kind of wish it was, eh? Maybe I do kind of wish it was, because it's tough. It's tough. Sometimes you come back and it's tough. It's tough. Shows it. I'm not crying the blues about it. I wouldn't have it any other way. And I get a lot of criticism. I get an awful lot of criticism. People want to know why I haven't actually. I was really considerate, and I actually had a shave this morning, which is unlike me, especially for your interview. So you're quite honoured for that, because I wouldn't usually bother. But people criticize over the strangest things,
When you say criticize, who's criticizing?
Usually people that don't know any better. Usually people that read a lot of, that have read a lot of books and never been certainly never set foot in a Buddhist country before, and don't actually know what the truth of it is. But it doesn't really matter. It only matters because some people get upset. It doesn't matter to me. You can criticize me or praise me as much as you like, and I'll be pretty much the same, and I'll carry on doing the same thing, because I'm pretty stubborn and stupid in the end of the day.
I don't know about that. Maybe the stubborn part. I can see that, maybe. By the way, folks out there in the chat room, if you have a question for SUJATO, jump right in, chat us up, and I will deliver it to you. I will verbally deliver it to you. So why does you're saying that you're maybe a little tired and weary from life's journey, and the Dharma outreach is your last hurrah? Yeah,
I think that's safe to say. Yeah, I think that's safe to say.
Well, what do you think happens with the Dharma Project then? Why?
I'm hoping I haven't had a plan. I've lived my life pretty full on, as you probably imagine. You know, and but I finally have a plan. I'd like to last another 10 years doing this. I'd like to see it grow. I'd like to see it definitely be multi-state within 10 years. We'll see. Although actually, you know, that's a bit of an ask because I've still got to sort my green card out. But, I'm sure that I'll treat it the way I treat everything else, and it will happen like, you know, literally about probably 30 seconds before they're going to deport me. That's how it works. My life goes like that. Okay. That's okay. So yeah, I would like to think that with, you know, 10 years, this project would be certainly in other states. You know, and then maybe I'll kind of find myself a cabin in the woods somewhere, which is where I came from, a cabin in the woods in Thailand. But this is important to me. This giving back is important.